What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the MCU Reviewed. We're going live for the first time at twitch.tv/the Geekiverse. Man, it's good to get back to it. I'm Josiah Leroy. With me today, Mr. Baba Yaga. He's got a beautiful Avenger shirt on. John Fick. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I feel like this is the only shirt I wear in the MCU Reviewed, and it's just like I just want to go for something Avengers related, and it just always ends up being this one, which is always a terrible idea because I always spill something on every time I wear it. So we'll see how long I last today with my white Avengers shirt.
It looks pretty good, through the screen here. So we'll take it.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm good at getting stains out of things. They don't stay there, but they end up there at one point.
I was gonna wonder your level of commitment. If you're like George Costanza there and he wears it despite it being stained or not.
Oh no,
but,
no,
that's
either garbage or it's being stain removed.
I also struggle every single time that I say your name not to say John Wick, even after all these years. It just happens.
All right, whatever you want.
But speaking of names, we've got a great friend of the show on here, good personal friend of mine, long time coming, been talking about this, I feel like, for years. She loves this movie, so I needed to get her on this show. If you caught our live stream in December for charity early in the month, we had Alida on to kind of share a wonderful story, but we've got Alida. This is the first time I'm ever saying it out loud. Alida Wingard, the artist formerly known as Alida Leslie. There she is.
There I am. I've been practicing this line, so I hope I get it right. What is it? Long-time listener, first-time caller. So
nailed it.
Oh, it's so good. I would have said it exactly backwards. So good job on that.
I wrote it down.
Hey, we got to do it. We got notes here. It's part of the show. So, Alida, congratulations, by the way. We talked about it pre-show. A lot of life events going on at the Geekiverse. We got John, who just moved. JT just moved recently. Tim moved recently. All of this since the fall. I had a baby. You got married, so congrats on that. How is married life treating you so far?
So far, so good. I went from a small little apartment to I got a 2-stall garage in a nice neighborhood and an amazing husband. And I get to introduce him to all of the universes, like not just the Marvel universe, but Harry Potter, Disney movies, Star Wars. He's just a sponge absorbing it all.
Wow.
I was going to ask, because I've seen your social media posts. I'm like, did he not watch anything? Oh my, every time you post one, I'm like, was Shrek the most recent? I swear.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, man. Oh my gosh. No, I'm happy that you're doing that, but that's what makes a beautiful relationship, right? Like one person typically introduces it. You get something back from them. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. So. What he has done his whole life is baseball. So that's how I've gotten into baseball in the last almost 2 years now. Dude. And we're so much into it. I love it.
That's funny because I've gotten my wife into things like Marvel and baseball. I brought both of those to her life. Those are my two big passions, is like Marvel, Star Wars, geekdom, and then baseball. So that's just all me.
That's it's very true. But glad to hear everything's going well so far. Guys, we're talking some Captain Marvel today. Got the 4K right there. Can't wait to get into the discussion here. It's been a long time coming. There we go with the Funko for the viewers at home. The show is always sponsored by our friends over at 26 Shirts. Go to 26shirts.com. Check out what those guys have going on. To date, they've raised over $1.3 million that have gone directly to families, charities, and individuals in need. What do? They simply sell t-shirts. Why do they exist? To help. Our good friend Del Reed, you've seen him on the MCU Reviewed plenty of times before. He is the founder of the company. We hope to have him back on in the coming weeks. If we've got some big tent poles to get to. But the shirt I've got on, if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, I've got Game Day on, which is a parody of Green Day's album cover Dookie. That was a limited run t-shirt, as they all are. But again, proceeds from every purchase go to those individuals in need. So again, 26shirts.com. Grateful to be partnered with those guys. So let's talk Captain Marvel. John, set the stage. Give us your quick 101 on your thoughts on Captain Marvel.
I like this movie a lot. I think it's really good. I sit there. It's not a movie that I think about and I want to rewatch often, or I get too excited about watching. But every time I watch it, I walk away from, I'm like, okay, that's really good, and there's nothing I disliked about it. It's like a really, really good movie. What starts to get interesting is like, we are so far into the MCU, and there are so many movies that I just absolutely love and that are ranked so highly on this list that at the end of this conversation, and we start to rank these things, it might not look like this is a great movie, but it is. It's just that there's such stiff competition. I think it's really good. The only thing that's like a bit of a lull for me is any of the Kree and space stuff. That stuff just isn't that fun for me tonally. I just like to see Captain Marvel on Earth with Nick Fury, with 90s music playing. Like that's the fun part of the movie for me, right? So like, luckily that's most of the movie, so it's it's a good movie. But yeah, if there's any nitpicks, it's the Kree stuff, it's the space stuff, but I think it's a great film.
I agree very much with that take. Alida, hit us with your love of Captain Marvel.
So as you can see with this, I'm wearing my Captain America, but because that was the love of my life besides Brian, but until I watched this. And I remember, I know we'll get into this, but like I remember the first time I watched it, just being like, "This is it. She is my superhero now." And I've never been much of a real feminist, like that strong, until seeing this movie, and it totally made me like, girls can be superheroes too, in a big, huge way. And I'm telling you, when it's I'm just a girl, no doubt, that's funny. Man, if that doesn't make you want to take up kickboxing or something, I don't know what will when she's winning there. So that's what I love about it. Is there's so many like moments in it.
That is one of the most like hype payoff moments of any of the like MCU solo movies that somebody gets to experience is that I'm just a girl scene where she just starts kicking everybody's ass and like she's powers fully unlocked, just absolutely unstoppable. That 100% agree. That moment is awesome.
Yeah, it's super epic. I remember some people hating on that moment, and I was like, no, it's totally epic, dude. It's awesome.
It's the same way people hate on both Infinity War and Endgame when they have that, she's not alone, and all of the awesome female superheroes line up and they work together and people are eye rolling like that. Oh, it's SJW. Grow up. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really changed my views on a lot of things, but and then too, the tie with the Air Force in it too. Like, well, sure, what is not to love about that? Like, she's still got her roots where she wants to wear the red, white, and blue, and
And I'll say, just like every time I watch this movie, it's a lot easier to look over this now that we've seen the movie before and we're talking about rewatches. But I remember the first time I watched it, there was a pretty decent mystery going on there. Like, you're seeing like really random flashbacks to her life and you're trying to figure out like, okay, obviously she came from Earth. She's like having these flashbacks of the Air Force and stuff like that. But how the hell did she end up on Kree, like an alien planet? Like, what is going on? How does this fit together? And it's, it's a really, really satisfying way to figure that stuff out. So I think it's one of the better narrative, stories we get in the MCU as well.
They do a good job with it. There's a few perspectives there, right? Like, it's the first time you see it, whether it's in theaters or after, and you're not sure where it's going. And it's nice to kind of unwind those layers as we get towards the end of the movie. Watching it 2, 3, 4 times afterwards and seeing it, knowing the answer, kind of, I think, enriches it. Like, it'll never be that first experience where you're not sure totally what's going on. But when you know the answers, you kind of look for stuff. You see things you didn't see. The picture gets filled in a little bit more clearly.
Right. Yeah. It's like watching any murder mystery, over again and being able to pick up on those clues that were there the whole time, but you obviously didn't have the context for them. Or even just seeing characters in a different light. Like who's like kind of like the leader of the Kree in this movie? What's that dude's name? I don't even know his character name. That's kind of how I am with the Kree and how forgettable I think like they are. So I don't even know this dude's name.
Ben Mendelsohn?
No, not even
the guy from Rogue One.
No, Ben Mendelsohn was a Skrull.
You're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the main Kree guy.
I'm sorry, Ronan.
Not even Ronan. Ronan's like, Ronan's in this movie for 30 seconds. I mean, like the main Kree guy in this movie who was Captain Marvel.
The blood is flowing through his.
Yeah, right. The fact that we can't even get there right now is kind of a problem. Yeah. The guy who, saved Captain Marvel and, gave her the blood transfusion and was the leader of that little crew, of at least that squadron of people. Totally forgot where I was going with this point, but that self-explanatory. The Kree are kind of forgettable in this. Oh, where I was going with that is rewatching the movie with the filter that they're pretty much the bad guy. They are the bad guy. Just like his character is painted in an entirely different light. Like I hate him right from the get-go now that I know he's he is the bad guy, and you can see that in his performance. Like that was always the case. Nothing changed. He was always kind of a dick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thinking of that, like rewatching it with Brian, so somebody who hadn't seen it before, and like when you're like sitting there watching, like you see this, oh, you like him? Oh no, you're not gonna.
Yeah, just wait.
Yeah, being able to do that.
Don't get too attached.
Big crushed. Yeah. So the movie debuted. Let's talk box office here for a minute. March 8th, 2019. So we're talking a little less than 2 months prior to Avengers. And box office finished up worldwide at $1.1 billion.
Yeah,
so
it's insane.
That was a a huge year for Disney, by the way. That was one of $7 billion movies they had that year.
It was one of 3 Marvel billion-dollar movies, and then it was when that opening weekend. I remember it was the highest-grossing superhero movie of all, second highest superhero movie of all time of the opening weekend. I think it was just behind Infinity War, which is insane just to see like the path that Marvel set for all of its films coming to be. That character is Jude Law, and it's Jan Rog. I could have not. It would have taken me never. I would have never guessed that.
I never would have come up with that.
100%.
So I get to Jude Law. I would still never get to that character name. That's
Jan Rog. Did they even say it? I don't even know. I'm sure they did, but it's
subtitles maybe.
Yeah, right.
So in a moment here, we're going to queue up the initial trailer for this, which this movie's only a few years old, so I remember it relatively vividly. But we want to watch it together. We want to react to it, talk about it. Do you guys remember seeing this movie for the first time? I'm going to go to Alida first. Was it in theaters? I'm sorry if you said that already. Take us through your first time watching this.
So I hurried up and looked on my Facebook page because I knew that I would have posted about it. And on March 30th, 2019, me and my mom went to see it up in Bedford, PA, at that theater. And my mom gave a review that I quoted. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I remember coming out of it and like texting all my friends to tell them that they had to go see it. Like, I remember like crossing the street, getting into the car, and being like, "This is it! Like, you cannot miss this movie, and you have to see it in theaters." Like, anybody that I knew would want to watch it. I vividly remember doing that. So I just remember being like super pumped as soon as we walked out of there. So
that's awesome.
I remember that.
So you were a relatively big MCU fan at this point, right? Like,
yeah,
what, Avengers, Cap, Iron Man, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, and I saw actually a lot of them between the Bradford Theater and the St. Mary's Theater. So it's funny that I have the big lights and stuff of the Bradford Theater behind us in our photo, but that's where we went to see a lot of them, was up there. And it was just amazing. I remember from the start loving it.
Hey, that's pretty awesome. It's part of the experience with these is seeing how you felt after you walked out of that theater, or who you saw it with, or if it was a packed theater on like an opening night situation. We talk about the experience of the theater all the time on shows like this, and then Star Wars Reviewed, and even midnight releases for video games over on Busy Sticks. We talk about like that it's being with people who are as enthusiastic about it as you and having that energy. It makes it so much more fun, I think.
There was definitely a time in the drive home. Sorry, real quick. Like, there's like a 45-minute drive home from Bradford to me, and my mom had so many questions, but she knew to wait until we were in the car. So then I think she liked it a lot more after that, after she was allowed to ask questions. But
that's awesome. I love it. John, take us through your first time, if you remember seeing this.
Yeah, for sure. First time for me was opening night. I remember going with a group of people. We got, everyone got together. It was, we were peak excitement in between Infinity War and Endgame. I mean, there was doesn't matter what Marvel movie they put out, where everyone was going to see that at midnight if they had any interest in it. It just happened to be one of the most important characters to come in the MCU. So obviously we're going to be there. Like viewing wise, I remember feeling very similar to the way I felt, as I talked about at the top of the show here. I did see this twice in theaters, and my second viewing was even more memorable because right after Captain Marvel came out, I planned it out basically to be able to rewatch the entire MCU before Endgame came out. So I got to watch Captain Marvel again in theaters because I just, the way it planned out, the movie was still in theaters and it wasn't available on like home video yet. So I remember seeing it again in theaters, and I went by myself. It was the first time I went to the AMC downtown Buffalo. And that's the newest theater in Buffalo. Really, really nice theater. Wish it had Dolby. Unfortunately, it does not. But it does have a bar. So I remember being pumped about that. I got out of work and just took the train down Main Street and went to that theater by myself, grabbed a big old bucket of popcorn, grabbed a beer, and I'm like, oh, this is the life. Rewatching Captain Marvel. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I did the same thing that you're talking about there, but with Black Panther in the lead up to Infinity War. It was perfect how they timed those releases. So I feel again very similar to how John felt. Like, I like this movie, no doubt about it. I was max type. I was like, give me anything on Endgame at this point. We're still less than a year removed from the craziness that was Infinity War, and the MCU was this is like the hottest it's ever been. Just in the middle of this, I think you can argue, definitely from a box office standpoint. And I saw this movie and I liked it. It didn't blow me out of the water, but with subsequent watch throughs, I've liked it more each time that I've seen it. And again, you mentioned at the top of the show, John, that we'll see what it looks like at the end in terms of rankings. And if it doesn't necessarily get to a super high point, it's the MCU. Like some of the movies that fell out of the top 10 or will fall out of the top 10, it's disgusting.
Yeah,
like it's just how it goes, you know?
Right. It's gonna break some people's hearts. One specific person probably on this podcast. It's gonna break somebody's heart, I should say. But I haven't even thought about it. I have not even looked at the list and tried to think where it's gonna go. This one's gonna be like totally organic for me. Like this conversation is probably gonna drive a little bit of that. And yeah,
Sure.
I'm very interested to see where we end up putting this.
Well, Alida's gonna sway you. That's how it's gonna go.
I'm here for it.
John, I'm gonna pass it over to you if you're ready to go with the trailer.
Yeah, I've got it up. You guys both ready for it? All right, go ahead and play.
War is a universal language. I know a renegade soldier when I see one. Never occurred to me that one might come from above. Space invasion, big car chase. Truth be told, I was ready to hang it up till I met you today. So you're not from around here?
It's hard to explain. I keep having these memories. I see flashes. I think I had a life here. But I can't tell if it's real.
We have no idea what threats are out there. We can't do this alone. We need you.
I'm not what you think I am.
All right. So, a few things from me. First thing, I'm a millennial, just like most millennials. I love nostalgia. I'm obsessed with nostalgia. You show me a Blockbuster video sign in the first second of your trailer, I'm in. I'm pretty sure I saw this trailer for the first time and just immediately picked up my phone and tried to pre-order tickets. Like, okay, I'm in. It's in the 90s, Blockbuster, totally in. Second thing I remember when I first saw this trailer is that I was very surprised that Captain Marvel was like an alien before this origin story. Like I had no idea what to expect with her origin story. I didn't know much about the character, so I expected this to be like her or her origin story on Earth, and her to like grow up as an Earthling and figure out these powers. So I was very surprised when the trailer first dropped and we got kind of like the plot synopsis that like, oh, she's from another planet. Obviously at that point I knew she's gonna have roots to Earth, but I was surprised that she was already this far along in her life, I guess I should say. And again, really cool way the movie plays out and explains how that happens. But I thought it was a decent trailer. I mean, Blockbuster gets me hyped, but Sam Jackson's voice always fun, decent.
I think the second trailer is preferable. We get the cat tease at the end, and immediately we threw up. I remember on our Facebook the meme that was how he lost his eye. And like there was a little bit more fun in that one. This was a little bit more serious in tone, but still pretty good. I always loved the montage of her throughout the years getting up in her different age brackets there. But of course, who doesn't love Jan Rog? Am I right?
Oh yeah, everyone's favorite, most memorable.
Alida.
I still don't remember his name from that period. I want to stop about it. How about like the words on the screen when it comes up to her and then it stands out to Hero? Like I don't remember this trailer. Like I don't remember the original, but like watching it now again, just like a true girl get hyped story. And I love that they threw in that of her getting up through the years, because that too, if that's like watching Rocky or a Cinderella story, like where you just want to get back up and fight with them. So I mean, it got me pumped now, but I don't remember that from before. But The blockbuster definitely does it.
Oh, for sure. That's an easy one. We're gonna be all over the place with the plot, and I know Joe, you probably have your notes, and we'll kind of go chronologically a little bit. But I do want to talk about that sequence of her getting back up in that montage. I thought it worked really well throughout the movie when we're seeing those flashbacks, but it didn't work for me as big and as grand as I wanted it to in that final scene. And it was something about the direction and the way they cut it. In theory, that is awesome. That sounds awesome. And most of the footage, like, it was working for me. But there was something about the way they all looked into the camera. And I'm like, you're taking me out of it. Why are you looking at the camera? Who am I? Am I somebody on the ground? Like, what? Why are we making eye contact right now? And that just took me out of it for some reason. And I'm like, man, this should have been like, this hit at like an 8 for me. And it was still awesome. And it still like set up the climax of the movie. And I was still pumped. But like, that could have easily been a 10. And it just wasn't for me. And it was just something weird with the direction.
That's interesting. I've never noticed it, and now I'm probably not going to be able to unsee it.
Very sorry.
It's okay. I really love that moment, and I think it's, again, I'll have to go watch it again now, but I think it is well executed, and man, I don't know. I get chills every time I see it. Alida.
I guess it's her, like, looking back in her memories, and that her as a little girl is looking at her, like,
could be
like getting her, like, you've done it, like, look at me, you've done it before, look at me, you've done it before.
Yeah,
that
makes
sort
sense.
of thing.
Yeah, that very well could be it.
Pulled that one out, but
I like it.
That's what we do here. Don't worry.
We do it all the time. We make stuff up. No, it's good. How many times did you say you guys have seen this movie? Alida, any idea? You had a ballpark?
I'd say 5 or 6. Nothing like I have with some of the others, but I think it's probably in that range. Because I honestly, like, 2 of those times are just in the past week. So
I think, well, that's fair. It's newer, right? Like, as J-Max putting in the chat, wow, this movie's almost 3 years old. Yeah, but it's also only 3 years old for the MCU now. This is relatively. And
you got to remember, we had a whole year where we got nothing because of the pandemic. So, like, it's 3 years old, but in terms of frequency with the movies, it's still new.
It's down the list now. It's so crazy with everything we've gotten, this past year.
Right.
John, how many times?
I think I'm like probably at 4 or 5. Yeah. So those two theater watches. This I just watched it today. Actually, I usually try to watch the same day, and then I'm sure I've slipped it in a couple other times where I just wanted to see. I think when Disney Plus came out, I was rewatching a bunch too. I think I was just kind of popping some stuff on. One thing I will say that I definitely rewatched this for, and I'll make a point that it's still impressive. The IMAX cuts of this of these on Disney Plus, so good, really really good in this movie. It's just something that really really stands out to me. I just like. Film everything in the IMAX aspect ratio. Like, why not? Like, everyone's TV is better fit for that ratio. Give me more. It's so much better. I know the cameras are more expensive. Just crop it. I don't care.
Dude, when you texted me that was a thing, that's the movie I jumped into. And I'm pretty sure that's what I texted you back. I said, I want every movie like this now. Like, right. Oh my gosh, it makes a difference. And
I'm going to have to look at this. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Yeah, so if the movie was released in IMAX, it was likely, which most Marvel movies are because, they're the big blockbusters and they come out. They're filmed with IMAX cameras. At least some scenes are, and you get more at the top and bottom, so you're not going to get black bars. This movie, I would say, is probably like a 60-40, 60% not IMAX, 40% IMAX. There's a good amount of black bars still. Something like an Infinity War Endgame. Those movies are all IMAX, basically. There's like no scenes that don't have the black bars. But I think Captain Marvel uses that really well, where it's like, all right, we've got this dialogue scene, and we've got the black bars, so it's kind of it's intimate and we're just having a conversation. Then all of a sudden we flip to like a space shot, and then those black bars are gone and it's just your full screen. It's like super immersive. So that's something I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Definitely recommend that you check that out on Disney Plus. Why don't we jump into my notes here? I only got like less than a page and a half. It's my shortest ever. It's so crazy. But man, here we go. Starting off right off the bat in the movie, we get a beautiful Stan Lee montage. We get the logo.
Oh, that's one thing I remember about being in the theaters. Like, just a collective like awe from the.
That's right. That was the first one after, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So not only to get that montage, but then to get to the fact, wasn't that his last cameo in this movie? Wasn't that the last one they had recorded?
Yes.
So
if you're not including what they did for Endgame.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, this was the last one.
That was the last one. Like, he sat there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a very just to see that splash screen, that Marvel treatment, and then what an awesome cameo too. I don't know if you have that note, but that is a kid, maybe my favorite one. That Mallrats rehearsal. That's so awesome.
It's very special. Yeah, that montage, I agree. Being in the theater, there was definitely a collective just, oh man, like it hit everybody hard because everyone that was there opening night definitely knew what was going on, even if you didn't. But it's a little bit extra special, I think. I like that they revisit some of the lore from Guardians of the Galaxy. Being a Guardians of the Galaxy just fanboy, I love that you see just even little things like some of the planets. Obviously, we get Ronan in there, but art direction. Even when you go to a planet for the first time, the font is the same thing as we see in Guardians of the Galaxy. I appreciate that continuity, and I've talked about that in a few cases.
Dude, that is something that I want Star Wars to do. I like anytime they zip to a planet, tell me where you are. That's like the Guardians has spoiled me with that. Like that's just an awesome, it's an awesome way to do that. So I'm watching Star Wars movies now. I'm like, I know that you probably talked about it, but like, just give me a splash screen. That's so sweet. Show me where you are.
See, I've liked that they didn't do it, but I like that they are doing it now. Like they did it in Rogue One because there were like 5 planets in the first 3 minutes.
maybe that's why I wanted it even more because they did it once. Yeah, that could be it.
We're bouncing around a lot. I want to say, they probably didn't do it in Solo. But in some of the series we've gotten here, they've had some of that. So I think that's a good point because it's kind of helpful, for a lot of reasons, especially when all the sand planets look alike nowadays in Star Wars, right? Diamond Hansu. So I cannot remember the name of the character, and I should. The Ravager that he plays, not the Ravager. Ravager? Oh my gosh.
No, he's not a Ravager. The
guy from Guardians who says, who? I love that he's in this movie.
Korath or something like that. I think it's like Korath.
I feel like that's a planet.
No, it's like KO. Hold on. It's Korath, I think. I know there's a planet that sounds like that, but I'm pretty sure like that's. Hold on.
Okay,
what's the actor's name?
We can't move on. Diamond, which is Dimon. HON.
Korath. Korath.
Well, good job. I was wrong on that one. Definitely not a planet, folks. Come on, guys.
I think maybe Vorag is like similar to that you're thinking of.
Look at you spitting out all these planets.
Sorry.
I'm the Guardians imposter here. Gosh. J-Mac brought it up in the chat. Had this on notes as well. Gemma Chan. So she's Cersei, right? In Eternals. She, just a few years earlier, was in this movie as Minerva.
Oh, I hate her in this movie. But like she's doing her job. She's doing her job, right? Like
she's being the bitch that you need her to be.
That line at the end where she's like, is that why we never hung out? No, I just didn't like you. Oh, I just wanted to punch her. I'm so glad Captain Marvel did.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. It's nice to see I don't want to say like recycling because she's a secondary character in this under makeup and to a degree prosthetics, and then you get her as a totally different character. I like that they do that.
It's nice. There's one other example, right? I think there's. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to pull it up. I think there's one other reused actor in the MCU. Maybe when you're getting to a next point, I'll look it up. But I think that Gemma Chan and somebody else are the other 2 examples.
It's floating up here. It'll just in the middle of someone's point. I'm going to be like, pause. I need to talk about this. So just be ready, guys. No better 90s nostalgia. We talked about this already than Blockbuster, right? Like, just so awesome to see that. Even the walk through some of the movies that are on the shelves that you go through. But let's talk about this too. We throw in Radio Shack. We got dial-up internet. We got the pop music.
The Game Boy.
The Game Boy.
She makes a collect call with a Game Boy. Awesome.
Pretty epic. We've got the music capped by I'm Just a Girl. The CD loading or installing.
Oh yeah.
And the look on the Skrull's face is just awesome. The Fonz lunchbox and then the Nerf gun. And I know I'm just mentioning a few things here, but they did this nice. They did this nice.
Agreed.
And by the way, this is Nick Fury's best movie.
It is for sure. And man, the de-aging was so good. That's something that like I am like I'm a sucker for that stuff. And I'm a sucker and I'm a stickler for that stuff. Like if it doesn't look good, it takes me out of the movie. Like there's CGI in this movie that's not good. At the end of the movie, when Captain Marvel's falling and she has her mask on, it looks terrible. It looks almost as bad as the end of Black Panther. But the de-aging on Nick Fury, oh my God, so good.
You know who else looked like a younger boy?
Oh, hang on, yeah. I know. I have the note right here. Don't you worry. Coulson, baby.
Yeah.
Alida's marriage crush.
He's such a beautiful man.
We don't know.
Even younger. Like, I love him.
Anytime, Alida, I'm not kidding you. Anytime I see Coulson, I think of you. I'm like, dude,
I just, oh
that's
man, that's
That
my
is
boy.
good. We have our
He
answer in the
looks younger
chat
too.
from he definitely had some de-aging on him as well to
for
be a younger
sure.
Coulson. But yeah, we got J Mac in the chat coming through with the other reused actor / actress in the MCU was Peter Quill's mother. She also played the blonde girl who kissed Captain America in front of Peggy. Is that right?
Whoa.
That I don't know.
Wait,
I'm
I don't think that's right as I'm reading it because I'm pretty sure the blonde girl that kissed Cap in front of Peggy is the actress from Game of Thrones. And I would
Yes, it
definitely,
is.
that's her.
Yes.
And she wasn't Peter Quill's mom. So I don't think that's right, J-Mac.
Oh,
No.
nice try though.
nice try.
We'll get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there.
Well, it'll pop in. Don't you worry.
He got Korath
Who would
before
have
me, so
thought
he's
you could
1 for
debunk
2.
that though?
Yeah,
Man.
I know. Just hey, wealth of just useless knowledge up here.
It's great because John's the first response he wanted to say was no. Next.
You gotta explain your answer.
I have failed you, J-Mac. You never fail us. Don't you worry about a thing. So I didn't rewatch this. I rewatched this when we were originally going to record this. So it's been a hot minute, right? So I'm staring at this note and I'm like, what does this even mean? The peak under the sheet is what I wrote.
Oh, yeah.
Now I
When
know.
when they were doing the autopsy on
Yeah.
this.
And it's even funnier when you realize that Ben Mendelsohn's character is Talos. He's not even actually, he's just going along with it because he has to. It makes it even kind of more awkward and funny.
Oh, 100%. Marvel had fun with the whole movie here, toying with us with the nods to Fury's eye. There were a few occasions where they were like, "Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Not yet, not yet." And then it does, and it's kind of an interesting payoff.
Not gonna lie, first time through, because remembering him, what movie was it where he says, "Last time I trusted somebody, I lost my eye."
Might be the
Avengers.
Avengers, yeah.
I was thinking like that Captain Marvel did it then. Like, I know I should have probably thought it was the cat, but I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, he trusted her and she blasted his eyeball or something. Like, I remember thinking like that she was the friend that he trusted.
That's awesome that you like remember that and brought that back. I totally didn't even think about it like throughout this whole movie. I had never maybe during the trailers and during like the early speculation, like I'm sure it came up about the eye during the whole movie. I forgot that he was supposed to, in the future he only has one eye. So just to have that even touched on at all was a surprise for me. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. That's how he loses the eye for some reason. Maybe it was the fact that the makeup was so good and I was just so involved with the young Nick Fury. Never thought about it.
he gets a couple different injuries to the eye.
For sure, he does.
Things
Yeah,
just like
slow for me.
They were toying with us a little bit. I was waiting for it for sure. I was just like, oh man, it's gonna happen. Once we had that second trailer at the end, I was like, gosh, I'm gonna have to kind of turn away when that happens. They mentioned Budapest, which is obviously a nod to Black Widow. That's kind of a common theme between Black Widow and Hawkeye throughout their time in the MCU.
Do they mention Budapest? Oh yeah, because he's naming the bees. He's naming the bees. Got it.
Yep. And then Maria Rambeau is a wonderful connection years later to WandaVision. It's a cool thread that I didn't anticipate happening. And I love how they tied that in, especially when we were watching WandaVision for the first time.
Yeah, and to hear that line, this is the first time I've rewatched this movie since WandaVision, and to hear her say, like, maybe I'll meet you halfway. Maybe I'll fly up and meet you halfway is like, you can do that. That's awesome. You turn into a photon, you get those powers. Like, that was for sure a setup.
That was really cool.
And I'm sure people who were, knew the comics and knew she would become Photon, that was not even a big deal for them. But for me, going back and seeing that, it's always cool.
100%. I'm in the same boat as you. Talos being afraid of Goose, the Flurkin, is just fantastic. It's just awesome. You're like, what the whole movie? What's really going on? And then, Goose shows his true colors towards the end. And you're like, oh, I got it now. But
understood.
By the way, I love Ben Mendelsohn in this role. I think he nailed it. Director Krennic, if you saw Rogue One, he's a good actor.
The scene where they're when they're heading, it is after 10, so just bear with me here. So in the scene where everybody's in the jet and they're flying up to find the coordinates of Marvel's laboratory, and they're like talking about what he can turn into. Like,
the filing cabinet.
Can you turn into a filing cabinet? Why would I do that?
Yeah, his dry humor,
so casual, and like they just seem so casual sitting there, like that's what people that's what humans would actually be asking an alien.
Right.
Like, what does Nick Fury offer him money to turn into?
A
Venus
Venus
flytrap.
flytrap. I'll give you $50 right now if you turn into a Venus flytrap. That's amazing.
That sounds like that is so what Americans or what even just humans would be saying to an extraterrestrial.
Absolutely.
That's what we would come up with.
His performance is just so perfect. It's so dry. The comedy's so good. Another line for me that always crushes it is when they're in the house and the science guy is like, you're supposed to be my science guy. You couldn't figure out that those are coordinates. Like just the dry delivery is like, you're my science guy. Like he can't even call him a scientist. Just goes with science guy.
Science guy.
The performance always reminds me of how well it was executed of Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer. Like those are my two. Like for some reason those performances are so similar to me. It's like, man, they really crushed like stepping into a role that I wouldn't expect them to kill it in, and they both did an awesome job.
Yeah, I did not expect a lot from that role from Ben Mendelsohn. Not that I thought he was not a good, but I just was like, all right, he's a big name now, right? He's got a lot going on. Had Star Wars a few years ago. This is great. Get more of these names in the MCU as we've done the whole time. But he really knocked it out of the park for me.
And I don't think
was
like
really
going into this knowing that he was a Skrull and like whatever. I don't think any of us expected the comedic chops. I think we all kind of expected the Skrulls to be like the bad guys the entire movie. I didn't, to have that comedic turn was really cool.
100%. The space dogfight sequence at the end, I actually think that's pretty well executed for the most part. Looks
really
nice.
Good, really good. And that's one of those scenes that's shot in those IMAX cameras, and it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, this is especially as time has gone on, especially with the MCU, I think this is overall one of the prettier ones that we do have. They do a good job with the color balance, the color palette. Obviously, there's a few hiccups, but really overall, largely a really good job. Mother Flurkin, as we've talked about it, great. Sam Jackson, you got to do it. Got to put that in there. Also underrated moment, but I absolutely love that Nick Fury sings "Mr. Postman" by the Marvelettes. What a perfect little Easter egg there, and a nice voice. By the way,
was it really an Easter egg? It was kind of on the nose. He literally says the Marvelettes.
Yeah, but they could have picked anything there.
Oh, right. That's the other nostalgic thing is the pager.
Yep.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, a nice little two-way. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the Avenger Initiative. It's kind of interesting that all of this stems back to this character and this movie, this story. And it's funny, like we've talked about as recently as last week, watching how you watch these movies, this and Star Wars. You don't watch them in terms of the timeline and chronological order. You watch them as they release. And because you do, that makes this being the Avenger Initiative all the more special. So it's nice that they're able to tie that back there. That's all I had for notes. Anything?
I had a note.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I remember this bothered me back in November, and I wrote a note, but since then I moved and everything else, so I somehow remembered it again today. They refer to it in the movie as S.H.I.E.L.D. in Captain Marvel, but isn't it in Iron Man where Agent Coulson is trying to make an appointment with Tony Stark and kept going through Pepper, and he would say like, I'm from the strategic homeland, and he kept going to like, yeah, and he's like, yeah, we're working on it. But back in Captain Marvel, they were already calling it S.H.I.E.L.D.
Interesting.
Yes.
That
I noticed that as well.
That is for sure one of those things. And even the Avengers Initiative thing, that's one of those things where it's like, yes, Marvel is very clearly retconning something to make it flow better, but I don't care because these movies are coming out so frequently that it's like, it's not beyond a shadow of a doubt that they did have that planned, where something like Star Wars, we're talking like years and decades between movies. I'm like, okay, it's very obvious that you're making this fit because you kind of have to, and you have to tell us a story. I don't mind it in the MCU for whatever reason. I've heard even about the Avengers thing when he's typing out that document, he deletes whatever word that he had, the Protector Initiative, and replaces it with Avenger. I remember people complaining like, "Oh, they just retconned that in. It's less special now because they wanted to make her, more of a part of the origin story." Never bothers me with the MCU. For some reason, it always just works.
Yeah, they've done that, especially now that MCU has got some age on it, right? It's not like it's been around since 2008 now. With Star Wars, it's been around since the 70s. So for me, I've really, for the most part, not cared about either because it works. They're usually quality. It's not too much of a stretch. It's like, okay, I can get there with an explanation. But yeah, Alida, definitely a good point because I was like, wait a second.
I think it stuck with me because it was Agent Coulson again. Like I remember him fumbling around
Same
with
character.
peppers, and like so it sticks with me because he was fumbling around trying to save it. I'm like, bro, like 20 years ago you were already calling it, or however long ago, like you were calling it.
And even like in Endgame when they time travel, weren't they calling it Shield too? I almost think, yeah, I'm pretty sure they were referring it to as Shield around then too. So yeah, they definitely, this was the movie. They're like, okay, we're cutting that off.
We're gonna stop saying that mouthful.
Yep, the joke's done.
Okay, favorite non-title character. Alida, let's go to you first. So anyone but Captain Marvel. Who's the one that, for any reason?
Definitely Nick Fury, even though Coulson is in it. But I know y'all are gonna say it. Like it's not.
I thought you were gonna go Coulson, and I was like, all right, that's fine.
I know. Normally, yes, but he
Not
was
enough screen
such
time.
a small. Yeah, but definitely him. Like the way that he connected with her when she wasn't trusting anybody in any of the galaxies, he was able to connect with her, and she was able to legitimately trust him. I liked that. I did. It's what I pulled from him on that.
I like it.
It's a great character. The buddy cop dynamic is probably my favorite thing about this movie. Like those two, just that one, the road trip of them kind of just like shooting the shit back and forth when they're in the airplane. Like they when Captain Marvel makes him like belly laugh when she says, "I won't tell your boss if you won't tell mine." Like they really nailed that dynamic, and like I felt like those were like two people that quickly became close friends. So that I love Fury in this movie. For me, it's definitely Ronan the Accuser. I think that his story arc in this movie. No, I'm just kidding. Why is Ronan in this? Whatever.
You did a good job there. That was you kept that going longer than I thought you.
I had to Google
I definitely like was in a weird way trying to make eye contact with Josiah. Like what is?
I had to Google what the rest of Ronan's name was. It's Ronan the something. Is it the Destroyer? No, that's Drax. I just typed in Ronan the Accuser. There we go. No, it's Ben Mendelsohn. It's Ben Mendelsohn. It's Talos. I love his character. The flip there, the twist that I certainly didn't expect. I know again a lot of longtime comic fans probably knew that was coming with their knowledge of the Skrulls, but man, to me that was a huge twist, and to see that character kind of just completely take a different role. He was menacing, and he was, he was the one that kidnapped Captain Marvel in the beginning, and he was, set up to be our big bad. His dynamic just flips real quickly, and he's super, super funny. And I think that anytime you can like convey an awesome character with that level of prosthetics on your face is really impressive. That's good acting. Yeah, I love Talos.
Because they don't actually call her Captain Marvel, I'm going to go with her anyway. No, just kidding. Yeah, Talos definitely would be my guy. I'm not going to take that. We all try to do a different one. I'm going to go with Maria Rambeau. I think prior to WandaVision, I would have not been anywhere near that opinion, but because she was okay. She was there. She existed. She brought some of the background for the story, but the tie-in with Maria and Monica into WandaVision made it more special for me. And I always say this, like when Rogue One came out, I liked A New Hope even more than I did prior. Like sometimes those enhance things for me. So when WandaVision comes out, and that's such a focal point towards the later half of that, those episodes, that made me, when I watched this for this recording tonight, it made me really connect a lot more and really respect where they were going with that. It's just another one of those nice tie-ins where it's more than a tie-in. It's not a primary story, but it's still there. It's below the surface, and it tells why these characters are the way that they are. Kind of what makes them tick. So that's going to be my character for this.
I love that perspective that like you appreciate her more after Captain Marvel after WandaVision and stuff like that. I do disagree that she was just kind of okay before that. I thought that they did a really good job with her character. Like I remember thinking specifically that their relationship was explained to us so quick, and it was just shown through flashbacks, and it still works so well. I don't know if it was just their acting or the dynamic, but man, I believed right off the bat that they were old friends. And even though one of them didn't remember half the stuff, like the chemistry was there, and I remember thinking both the little time that those two had spent together and the little time that her and Nick Fury had spent together, I was just always impressed with like how much I really appreciated the characters in this movie. And that's what like always makes me walk away from it going like, man, there's some good storytelling in this movie.
Yeah, I can respect that. I mean, I ultimately didn't feel the same, but it is what it is. With the buddy cop thing with Nick Fury, you are spot on though. I mean, at least I agree. The way they interacted, she makes Nick, we see a real Nick Fury. like not on
Mhm.
guard for once, right? And that's what makes that special to me, is that we finally get a different laid back guy he's not this military kind of captain, so to speak.
Right.
He's
Like,
we get some personality, which is big.
you've always had the comedic elements with Nick Fury, but it's always been like he's always on the offensive with them. He's always very sarcastic. He's always controlling the room when he's being that sarcastic guy. And again, plenty of funny moments from that in previous films, but she really breaks him. Like, she gets him to crack, and that's something that was really cool to see.
So I always say this in real life too. Like, sometimes, I'm not saying these guys are jerks, but like sometimes you have a brush with someone or you don't get along with someone, but then you understand a little bit how they tick and you speak to them almost how they speak to you. And then there's a new respect. I feel like that's a little bit with what was going on there. Like 100%. He was kind of this guy who's always got his guard up. He says his mom calls him Fury, right? Like, everyone calls me Fury. That's hysterical.
Right.
She kind of challenges him. She's got this little bit of sass to her. Like, yeah, no, you're going to talk to me and you're going to like it. And I like that a lot.
That's for sure what they did. If you ever worked in customer service or with customers at all, you know that sometimes you get difficult customer. Sometimes you just have to match the energy. Like, sometimes you just have to get there with them to be able to make it work. Like, you have to. Every once in a while, you got to pull that card. And that's what she did. And it worked.
I wasn't going to go there, but Alida knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's not even just so much with customers. Like, you do that with coworkers and stuff. You got to do it, and
for sure.
And she does it, and she owns it. He really does in this.
And I don't even think, last thought on that topic, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I know sometimes people are like, "Oh, you're being a jerk. I'm going to be a jerk back." Not necessarily. Like, sometimes you're just matching the energy or the level.
Yeah.
I actually boil it down to communication. You're communicating in just maybe a way that I wouldn't normally. I'd rather just have a fun conversation and laugh with you. But if you want to be a little bit rougher around the edges, I could do that too.
Right. There's a clear level of respect there with all of it.
Sure.
There's nothing demeaning about it. So, like, she never plays the, "Oh, I'm an alien and I know much more than you" character, so I'm going to talk down to you. There's always some respect there.
Yeah, there's definitely the matching the energy as opposed to like matching a personality. Like, and she nails it there. She does.
I think that's spot on. What is that moment of the movie for you? I don't know if I cut out there or not. I froze. That moment of the movie, whether it's a quote, a singular moment, just, it could be funny, it could be serious, something that really resonated with you. There's no wrong answer here. John, why don't we go to you first this time? Is there any one thing that sticks out for you when you're thinking about Captain Marvel?
Yeah, for me, it's the "I'm just a girl" moment when she finally gets her powers, and that's wrapped up into the Supreme Intelligence scene too. I mentioned that the flashbacks where she's always getting back up didn't hit for me like on a 10 out of 10 level, but it's still great. Like, I'm still totally there for it. All of that together, and then just the lead up to her full, she literally goes Super Saiyan. I mean, like, you ever watch Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z is it all, like, she literally goes Super Saiyan, and it's just like one of the most badass things we've seen, like, character wise in an MCU movie. So to see her do that and just wipe the floor with everybody with that No Doubt song playing in the background, it's just, it's so tonally perfect. It's so much fun. Like, there's a lot of creative takedowns. There's like super funny quips. We talked about the one with Minerva. She's like, "Is that why you never hung out?" "No, I just never liked you." Immediately smashes her against the wall. Like, it's great. It's empowering. It's comedic. It's everything you need from this movie. It's colorful and the song's fun. It's like a perfect capstone for this movie.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Alida.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did say that myself before we started recording, so you totally took my scene. But I'll kind of play off of that when she's still going like totally like girl power there when they crash down onto Earth again, and she's going after Jude Law, and he's like ready to pull his gun on her, and he puts it in his pocket, and he's like, "I'm so proud of you," and you think that he's going to try his mind tricks on her
Love
again.
that scene.
And he's like, well, you can defeat me without your powers. And she's like, "Shut up," and just blasts him into the canyon. I don't have anything to prove to you. And then when she goes to like pick him up, you think she's gonna stick out her hand and help him up. She starts dragging his ass through the desert.
Yeah, that's really great too. My gosh, I love how that
disrespectful in the best way possible. I love it.
Yeah, payback, right? John's moment would have been my moment. Alida, yours would have been my second. Actually, it's funny you say that. So I'm going to go with one that we actually already talked about very quickly. It's a small moment, but it's so special, and it is Stan Lee's cameo. Love the way that Brie Larson looks at him, or at least at that direction.
Do you think that was recut? Do you think they gave an extra little take for that? Yeah.
That's my opinion. Wouldn't be surprised either way, but it just feels like
they had to do something extra there.
If he was still with us, let's say, I don't think there would have been the extra pause, because it's like just a little bit too long.
Right.
But it's for this moment, and it's very special. Alida.
And it's without being cheesy on it, like without going too over the top. It's very like in a respectful, very meaningful way, without being like, where if you didn't know who he was, you could just see it as a part in the movie, just like smiling at this nice guy and moving on.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like totally out of the way.
And it's totally funny. It's because he's an older gentleman, and she just like respectfully gives him a little nod, and then 2 seconds later she punches an old lady in the face. So it's a great dichotomy right there. But no, I agree. I think this is like it's not even in the converse. There's no conversation for me. This is my favorite Stan Lee cameo, and that's really not even because of the timing and then because of the fact that it was his last one, and he obviously passed right before this. I just think it's like super funny, and the fact that they had a real life tie-in with him performing the Mallrats skit, and like it's perfect for the '90s. And I love terrible Kevin Smith movies, so like it hit well for me.
Yeah,
and she punches an old lady in the face.
Then he punches an old lady in the face.
It got real there really quickly. All right, folks, we've talked a lot about Captain Marvel here, and we've got a little bit to go here. In just a minute, we're gonna rank this thing. We're gonna talk about the definitive official ranking here on the Geekiverse, where this lands on our MCU movies to date. Thanks for sticking with us at twitch.tv/thegeekiverse, watching at youtube.com/thegeekiverse, or listening on podcast services around the globe. John, I'm going to pass it over to you if you want to give everyone a refresh on how this works and where we're at.
Yeah, so you'll see on screen now. If you guys can feel free to pull up the ranks on your own end, but all the viewers at home can see it. We've got the rankings up. There's a lot. I'm gonna go through them for the audio listeners, but it's a mouthful, so just bear with me if I fumble any of them here. We currently have number 1, Infinity War. Number 2, Thor Ragnarok. Number 3, Civil War. Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 5, Guardians Volume 2. Number 6, Black Panther. Number 7, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 8, The Avengers. Number 9, Age of Ultron. 10, Winter Soldier. And it's about to get bumped out of the top 10 soon. 11, Iron Man. 12, Iron Man 3. 13, Ant-Man. 14, Doctor Strange. 15, Iron Man 2. 16, Captain America, The First Avenger. 17, Thor. 18, Thor, The Dark World. 19, The Incredible Hulk. J-Mac in the chat. Winter Soldier is Solo. Yeah, J-Mac, you just recently joined us here. We've been doing this MCU for a while now. Josiah and I we are in the minority when it comes to Winter Soldier. We like the movie fine. We both think it's really good, but for us, it doesn't hit like that top tier, top 5, even for top 10, much longer echelon of the MCU. And we totally know we're in the minority, but guess what? This show has 3 people, and there's 2 of us right there. So it's good. We're gonna win vote wise.
Well, John, we're technically in the majority, actually.
I mean of most MCU fans in general. Yeah, and J-Mac, you say spy movies aren't for everybody. I honestly think it's like kind of an elementary approach at a spy movie. Like I think that the covert, corporate espionage, I don't think it's really that captivating in that movie, but that is an episode that we've already done. So you feel free to go back and watch that. Normally we've got JT on here. JT couldn't make it, and we were super pumped to have Alida. So you know what? We're giving Alida honorary voting rights. Usually when we have a guest, we have Del Reed on every once in a while. I think we've had some other guests in the past. Usually the guest doesn't get to vote. It's usually just the core cast members, but we really wanted to get this in, and Alida is like an authority on Captain Marvel. So this is perfect. So she's going to vote in place of John. JT, if you want to, get some revenge and you don't like it, maybe you can use your final snap. Who knows? But where do we want to start with this one? This is tough.
Oh man, John, I think. Okay.
It's tough.
We can easily get it. Let's go right from the bottom. 19, 18, 17. We can get it above those 3.
Easily.
I'm gonna pass it over to you. I've got some thoughts, but okay. I'm gonna wait.
So we can all easily agree that it's going to be ahead of Thor at 17, right? The 3 of us.
Yep. Yeah. That might be a good starting point.
I totally agree there. So at 16, its first piece of competition is the other captain, Mr. America himself, the first Avenger. Where are we at?
Do I have a different one than you guys?
Oh wait, you know what? You have the right one. I have the wrong one. I know what happened. The one that's up right now is just missing. It's just missing
Ant-Man
and the Wasp. Yes, because of the fact that we were supposed to have 4 people on today, so I updated the list with 4 camera slots instead of 3. 1 second, we'll get that updated. It'll take 2 seconds. Ranks.
So, while John's doing that real quick,
Take it away.
Winter Soldier, I think when people see that we don't have this higher on the list, they assume we hate the movie. We don't. We like it. However, from my point of view, and I think John mostly agrees with this, like when it came out, it was one of the, if not the first, it was one of the first post. So I guess it would have been Avengers, then Iron Man 3, and then that movie, if I'm recalling correctly.
Sounds right.
When Winter Soldier dropped, it was a big deal. It was like, oh my gosh, because after Avengers, and everyone was in love with the MCU, some of us for the first time, that's the movie that hooked a lot of us in to loving this universe. It was that they replicated a lot of the success from Avengers with Winter Soldier in a different way. So it was like, it was that they smashed it. It would have been so easy for them to fall back down to earth with some of those solo superhero movies, but they didn't. And they really evolved and they took it to a new level. And I think a lot of people maybe remember that as their first time, for better or worse. It's your opinion. But and people got on our case for not having the Avengers higher as well. I think it's for the same reason. Yeah, right. Good movie. But like, we've had a lot of better movies, in my opinion, since then.
Yeah, what's the biggest compliment of the MCU? It just keeps getting better. Like they haven't really, they haven't had a controversial arc in the series. They just keep getting better and better. So like, of course, we're gonna have some of these movies that that pave the way a little bit lower than some people may like. We have the list fixed now, so I was missing Ant-Man and the Wasp. I forgot to update that one. That was our last week or last episode. That is at 17. So let's start there again. Do we all think that Captain Marvel is better than Ant-Man and the Wasp? Start there.
Yes.
Yes.
That one is a yes for me as well. I would put it above Ant-Man and the Wasp. So that takes us back to the other Captain, Mr. America.
Cap v. Cap.
Cap v. Cap. The Marvel versus the America. Joe?
Yes. It's better.
Yeah, I agree too. I like this movie more. I was waiting
for Walker to jump in. I'm like, I should drag this out some more.
Yeah, nice little pause there. I agree. I do like it better than Captain America, the First Avenger.
And with the note of saying, like, even though these ones are outside of even the top 10, that doesn't mean that they're bad movies. It just means that. I mean, look at 1 through 8, 1 through 9 right now. That is a solid list.
Really good stuff.
If it doesn't happen today, Winter Soldier is getting bumped next episode.
Yeah, that's why I said Winter Soldier will be out of the top 10. Like, it's for sure happening.
Or
Endgame's coming. It's next, which is can't wait to talk about. All right, next we have a fun one. Iron Man 2. Alida, we'll start with you. Do you think Captain Marvel is better than Iron Man 2?
Yes.
Joe?
Oh man, here's where I start to struggle for a number of reasons. Man.
It's tough because more context. Joe and I love the Iron Man movies, and we're both of the mind that like there's no bad Iron Man movie. Like,
right.
People there's a group of people who think Iron Man 2 is bad, and there's a group of people that think Iron Man 3 is bad.
Just like we're dancing.
That's my bird.
Are you campaigning for Iron Man 2 right now?
He is. Oh, apparently we love those movies. So yeah, Joe, I'm leaving the pressure on
right
you.
now. Oh, thanks a lot.
Yep.
I'm gonna. See the list ahead of it. This is why I'm struggling. I don't agree with some of what's happened from 11 through 15. Like I would rearrange those, so my answer would be different here.
Right. Would you you would put it ahead of Doctor Strange, but not Iron Man 2?
I would, and that's my answer.
Well, you're not allowed to have that answer because that's not the ranking. So,
well, I'm gonna keep it where it is.
So you wouldn't put it ahead of Iron Man 2. You would leave it at 16, ahead of Captain America, below Iron Man 2.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh man,
but you got to vote. What do you
I
got,
do
John?
have to vote. I do have to
Looks
vote.
like it was up to John anyway.
So I was pretty sure it would be. Here's how I do this. I close my eyes.
T-Mix just killing us with the Iron Man 2 stuff. Like, what else you got? I want my bird. No, maybe that's a bad one. All right.
No, that's a good one. You just kind of bumped. No, I'm just kidding. So this is how I play this. I close my eyes. It's a movie night right now. Right after this show, I'm going to watch a movie. I have to watch Iron Man 2, Iron Man 2, or Captain Marvel. I'm watching Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2.
I'm watching Iron Man 2. So it's staying there. It's staying there.
I'm so comfortable.
Okay, let me say where I would have put it.
Absolutely.
Let's do one at a time. Just kidding.
I would have just put it above Doctor Strange, but not above Ant-Man.
Okay,
Really?
that's fair.
I wasn't going I wasn't going crazy. Like, initial knee jerk would have been like number 9 and move Age of Ultron to 10, but looking at Ant-Man, Iron Man 3, Iron Man, it's not going above that.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I could make like an argument for getting it there. I think that's how these movies play out. Like, it's going to be a debate. And in most cases, we don't get there, but like, you really could make arguments for a lot of these. So like, if you would have been like, yeah, I'm like where you said, I'm putting this 9, 10 in that range. Even, I mean, right around Avengers, like I would have been like, okay, that's great.
Right,
but
I wouldn't use a snap over it. I wouldn't get that upset about it. Right. So we have it locked in here. It's 16. Captain Marvel is right above Captain America: The First Avenger, right below Iron Man 2, sitting at 16, right in the middle of the list. Like, that's right where, if I didn't look at a list, I would describe this as a mid to low high tier movie, MCU movie, like mid tier to the low high tier. And I feel like 16 is exactly that. There's just a lot of really, really good movies in this franchise. Like, we're doing this for a reason. These are so much fun to watch. Alida, this is your first episode. Where are you at with this list? Dissect it. Is there anything that jumps out to you about our list that you just have gripes with, that you want to just air your grievances on?
If I may interject, just talk about everything from like 3 down. So not Ragnarok.
No, go for it. Go right for the jugular.
Hit us.
Yeah, give us the breakdown.
I'm honestly, I'm very happy with it. Like, I've been following it, so I'm very happy with it. I think that I could have made a case to put Captain Marvel a little bit higher, but Ant-Man, Iron Man 3. I'm not a big of Iron Man 2 fan, as you guys are, so I'm kind of happy that it's as low as it is, but I think Captain Marvel, she deserves to be a little bit higher than that.
Totally fair.
And Winter Soldier, I agree. I think that it's more of a top 15 movie for me than a top 10 movie.
We like to have one more ally on that fight because we don't have many. So
that's about where it may end up. There's
a chance.
We got Spider-Man coming.
We got Spider-Man coming.
We've got Black Widow. There's some stuff coming up. There's some stuff coming up. Just saying.
Yeah, I would like to see that one come down a little bit further, but I mean, perfect world, Captain Marvel would be above Age of Ultron, but I'm still holding, because you didn't move all of them yet, I'm still holding out that I might get it above Doctor Strange. Don't look at it because Iron Man 2 is so low. Look at it as, is Captain Marvel better than Doctor Strange? Oh
yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to shift anything there, because I don't think anyone's going to use a snap on that.
Probably not. So that was my thing. Like, Doctor Strange, I would have behind Captain Marvel. It's just how it would go. Like, I don't know. And I love that character, but that movie didn't resonate with me for some reason. In relation, of course.
Yes.
Goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Well, all right. Well, speaking of rearranging the list, I think I might have to use my first snap.
Oh, no! John's first one?
It's not just a snap. It's a re-snap. It is a re-snap.
Oh, no.
I think that somehow, I don't know what JT did to get the people to vote for Black Panther instead of Guardians of the Galaxy. Not sure who he drugged, who he added on Twitter to make that happen, but I'm re-snapping that. I want Guardians ahead of Black Panther. I want Guardians to be at the 6th slot, and I want Black Panther right below it. And I want that's my first snap, and I'm going for it. We're doing it.
Dude,
so if
you made other Twitter accounts, that's what he did.
I honestly think I legitimately would not put it above him. I wouldn't put it above him.
John, what happened? There was one JT. JT's had like 17 snaps, which is crazy. But the one snap he had, there was a tie.
So yeah, think of it this way. So
This one?
no, it wasn't, because he wouldn't have
Okay.
gotten that one. He successfully snapped Black Panther over Guardians, but he couldn't get Black Panther over Guardians 2. That one was the tie. That's where he missed. He was trying to get he was trying to move Black Panther even further. So that one was a tie, and tie goes to the runner. You have to successfully convince us that, you know, we ranked them wrong, not that people just are tied on it. So I'm knocking them down a peg. If you don't know what the snaps are, if you're new to this, we each get 3 Infinity Gauntlet snaps. So that's the 3 main co-hosts. It's myself, Josiah, JT when he's back on. Those snaps are if there's 2 movies touching, and I don't like the way those are. I want to flip those 2 movies on the list. I use a snap. It doesn't mean I immediately get that result to happen. We have to put up a poll on Twitter. It's a simple poll. It says, which is the better movie? This one's going to read Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy. The poll's going to be up for 3 days. If I can get more votes on Guardians of the Galaxy than Black Panther, a successful snap, it hops it on the list. If Black Panther wins the poll, the list stays the same. This is my first of 3 snaps, and I look at this list. We're getting down to the wire here. There's not much I'm passionate about. That one I am passionate about. I'm doing it.
You're very passionate about this. Like you're selling it, man.
And I love
You
Black
are.
Panther. I love Black Panther, but we're talking
Same.
about Guardians. Like Guardians is like arguably a top 5 movie for me. So like getting it to 6 is it's even tough for me to look back at Guardians 2 and see it above Guardians 1, but I know I did that. Like I know that we got there. We had that conversation. We pushed it there together. So I'm fine with that. Maybe I've got 2 snaps left after this, so maybe I might change my mind. But this one is for sure happening. That's going to be up on twitter.com /the_Geekiverse at @the_Geekiverse on Twitter. Vote in this poll. If you're seeing this, the poll is live unless it's more than 3 days since it's been posted. But it'll be there. You can see the results.
Dude, good job. I fully back that. I've got to get on there. You
I'm
know,
here for that.
Alida, thank you for being a supporter there. Do you know who's going to? We have to keep this like under wraps from somehow.
Who?
Dell.
Would Dell be in support of Black Panther?
Listen, all I'm saying is we get one retweet in the opposite direction, and he will tank this thing for us.
But do you know for a fact that Dell would go Black Panther over Guardians?
I don't, but I think
Okay.
he would.
Okay. Well, so we keep it away
I
from
think
Dell.
he would.
We keep it away from JT. That's easy because JT doesn't show up on our shows and he doesn't watch our stuff anyways. So he's never going to know that we were doing this snap. So this will be easy. But yeah,
JT.
keep it away from Dell.
Dude. So my only snap, I tried to get Guardians Volume 2 over Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah,
I had
still
a great lead
not
to
over
start,
that.
and then I didn't get there.
Your great lead was like 3-1. And then you never saw the light of day after that.
John, don't be ridiculous. It was like 5-1, but who's counting?
And those are 4 of your accounts.
No. So yeah. Good list. I like where this is going. The fun thing is, so you mentioned we're getting down to the wire. We are. But the great thing is the MCU keeps
They
going.
just keep making them.
So even though you're like, hey, I got 3 snaps total, I'm going to start using them up. Wouldn't do that. Maybe something comes out this year that doesn't do as well
That being
as
said,
we wanted to.
we did talk about adding more snaps because of the fact that we started this with 22 movies and now there's 27. So
Maybe once we get to 30, we'll revisit it. We'll each
Fair
get
enough.
another snap, I think.
Fair enough.
Or
We'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that offline. We'll give you some updated snap rules here on the list. But the list is solidified for now. Black Panther still sits ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy at 6. Captain Marvel, today's film, sits 10 below that at 16. So I like that. I think there's a good group of movies in that mid tier. I think that's a really solid list. I'm excited. Very excited.
I'm excited too. And speaking of Del Reed here, we're going to wrap this episode of MCU Reviewed up. 26shirts.com. He's the founder. Go check them out. Buy some awesome merchandise. They've got a lot of awesome geeky stuff. We just put in a big Geekiverse order for their shirts just for our own. There's a Buffalo Nintendo. There's a Buffalo Sega logo. Yep, just like that. John showing it for the viewers at home. There was the Batman logo, but it says Buffalo. Like, we've got some Buffalo pride here. We're trying to show it off. Anyway, 26shirts.com. Portions of every sale go to a family, charity, or individual in need. Excuse me. They've raised $1.3 million to date that have gone to those individuals. Incredible, incredible stuff helping out the community here in Western New York. If you've heard of the Bills Mafia, Del Reed is the father of the Bills Mafia. Go check him out. John, social media and anything else to plug for the Geekiverse?
Social media right here at Disruptoid. There's me. Thanks to Kyle for my little Mario print here. Happy Mario Day belated.
That's pretty cool.
Not bad, huh? Not bad. Yeah, that's Disruptoid on all socials. Plug for the Geekiverse. We're having fun doing the MCU reviewed, but we also just started up Star Wars reviewed. That's been cool. I'm really hoping we can get to keep doing these in tandem because, like, man, that would really suck if I had to watch a Star Wars and a Marvel movie every week, wouldn't it? No, it wouldn't. Josiah just showed real quick the episode 2 Attack of the Clone. That episode is live right now. We just recorded that and posted it. So we've got man, I can't come up with the title. What is
Sorry,
episode 3? Revenge of the Sith?
Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, I'm like, where am I going with it? What's the third movie? Yeah, we got Revenge of the Sith coming up later this week. We're hopefully gonna record that. Avenge of the Sith? Yeah, I don't know.
Are you ranking those two when you
We are. Yeah, we are. So that's been fun. So we've got the first 5 in the bag right now. Josiah with some spicy takes last episode after that one. Luckily, Tim and I were able to hold him accountable, and those didn't see the light of day. But feel free to watch that video while we rank it. It's very interesting to see where Josiah's brain goes. But we're also doing Busy Sticks. Yeah. Busy Sticks are all video game podcasts. We're having fun with these 3 shows. That's kind of our core right now. The Star Wars reviewed, the MCU reviewed, and our video game show, Busy Sticks. We're having fun. Nothing like just sitting back and chatting about the stuff we love. So give us a follow. A lot of fun.
Tim tells that guy in the chat, you got to boot him. I don't like that comment.
Well, I can do that. I'm an admin.
But I do like his other comment, Revenge of the Clones, because I think that's a rejected title for sure. Anyway, on social media, I am Brosiah at I am Brosiah. You can check me out talking about hockey, right? The Sabres are fun again. Make the Sabres fun again. Thank you, Jack Eichel. Get out of here. Lots of fun discussion there. It's been a cathartic week for us. We had the outdoor game that they won as well against our cross-border rivals. So check that out. As John said, we're having fun with Busy Sticks, the all video game talk show for the Geekiverse. John, by the way, can you believe we had a show with Greg Miller?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to believe, but yes, I do. I was there.
Just it's crazy, pinch me. For everything on the Geekiverse, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, youtube.com/the Geekiverse. Watch us stream live, twitch.tv/the Geekiverse, and listen on podcast services around the globe. Last thing you can do to help us out, you can go to patreon.com/the Geekiverse. If it's in the wheelhouse, you can throw us a few dollars a month. That helps support us with shows like this. Alida, we had a lot of fun having you on the show today. We finally made it happen. We had circled this on the calendar a few times. It got pushed back. We're thankful that you're able to spend some time with us. Any wrap-up thoughts here on the MCU, pop culture, movies that you've been watching with your husband, anything at all in general before we sign off?
Not so much. Besides movies, we've been cooking a lot. So I'm actually want to say that I'm getting excited about the Julia Child cooking show that they got on the Food Network right now, but we just recorded all the upcoming episodes that debuted tonight. Kind of excited about that. But no, I'm looking forward to showing my husband the Star Wars movies and then listening to you guys' podcast to help him dig a little bit deeper into it, stuff like that. Because the Avengers, you can kind of, in any of the MCU, you can kind of relate for real life. But Star Wars, it's been a little bit harder getting it in. But I think with listening to you guys, that should help out a little bit. So that's going to be great stuff for all of our travels that we do. We'll pop you guys on while we go.
That's awesome. So you said cooking show. Tim joked in the chat, let's get a Geekiverse cooking show. Josiah and I absolutely have kicked around the idea of doing a Geekiverse cooking show. We have absolutely talked about it. We had some ideas. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of things out there. We might have to see what happens this summer, but I'm just saying.
I just want to
understand. I'll show you some of the cookbooks that some of my friends have sent me for wedding gifts, ridiculously amazing cookbooks that we've been getting. So
all I do is pizza. All I do is pizza. That's all I'm
into it.
But I can make Joe Burgers.
Pizza. Joe Burgers. That's actually a thing. Yes. So I just want to wear an apron with John. That's why I want to do a cooking show. I want to have Overcooked live action. That's what I want.
Man, you just reminded me that I asked for a Darth Vader apron for Christmas. I didn't get it. I never realized I didn't get that. That's a bummer.
Courtney, it's okay.
Christmas is ruined.
Christmas is ruined forever. I'm thinking about Jingle All the Way. The GOAT. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Alida, for John, I'm Josiah. We'll catch you all soon. We'll catch you next week for Avengers Endgame. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Good night, guys.